There comes a moment in a person's life when the weight of waiting begins to feel heavier than the promise itself, when the silence around you grows louder than the prayers you've spoken, when the journey seems so delayed that your heart begins to ask, did God forget me? But listen to me right now. The very moment you think God has delayed the longest is the moment He is preparing to move the fastest. God's timing never fails. If you dare to relax your anxious heart, to step back from your fear and simply watch what God unfolds, you will witness something so extraordinary that you will say, only God could have done this. You must understand deep within your spirit that God does not work according to the panic in your heart. He works according to the perfection of His timing. He is never early, never late. He is the author of time, the controller of moments, the one who turns seasons with a single whisper. And when God decides that your moment has come, nothing, no barrier, no enemy, no delay, no obstacle, no fear will be able to stop what God has ordained to rise. You may be tired. You may be frustrated. You may be wondering why the path has been so long, but God has never once stepped away from the process He designed for you. God is not ignoring you. He is aligning you. Too many people look at their lives and think the delay is a denial. They think the waiting means abandonment. But what if the waiting is not punishment? What if the waiting is protection? What if God is holding you back? Because where He is sending you requires a stronger version of you, a wiser version of you, a more patient version of you, a more spiritually alert version of you. Sometimes God delays not because you are unworthy, but because your promise is too big to be rushed. You are not waiting because God forgot you. You are waiting because what God planned for you requires precision. And you cannot rush divine precision. You see, when God prepared a blessing for you, He prepared it in perfect alignment with your destiny. God does not give you anything that will be wasted. God does not release anything prematurely. God does not let you walk into something that will destroy you. And so when you feel the waiting stretch long, when the silence feels endless, you must remind yourself that God is protecting you from what you cannot yet see. God's timing is not designed to frustrate you, it is designed to fulfill you. Many people try to force doors open, but forced doors never lead to peaceful rooms. When God opened the door, it will open without force, without manipulation, without pressure, because the timing is ordained, not manufactured. Relax. That is the command the human heart struggles with the most. Relaxing does not mean giving up. Relaxing does not mean surrendering to defeat. Relaxing means trusting that God is doing something behind the scenes that your eyes are not yet allowed to see. Relaxing means releasing your need to control what only God can orchestrate. Relaxing means letting God prove that He is wiser than your timeline and stronger than your impatience. The more you try to control the timing, the more frustrated you will become. The more you surrender the timing to God, the more peace will flow into your spirit. Relax and watch God turn your waiting into a miracle. There is a reason God moves slowly before He moves suddenly. God takes time to build the foundation. God takes time to shift the atmosphere. God takes time to clear the path. God takes time to prepare the hearts of those connected to your destiny. God takes time to align opportunities. God takes time to weaken the plans of your enemies. God takes time to strengthen what He placed inside you, so that when the breakthrough arrives, you are not overwhelmed but ready. What feels slow to you is strategic to God. And when the strategy is complete, God will release what you have been praying for without hesitation. Some of you are in a season where you feel stuck, not because nothing is happening, but because everything is happening in the unseen. Think of a seed buried beneath the soil. It looks still. It looks dormant. It looks forgotten. But beneath the surface, the seed is breaking, expanding, awakening, and preparing to rise. You cannot see the transformation, but the transformation is happening nonetheless. God often works in the places your eyes cannot reach. God builds in the places your understanding cannot enter. Just because you cannot see the progress does not mean the progress is not real. God is moving on your behalf right now, even in the silence. There are three battles every person faces in the waiting: the battle of impatience, the battle of fear, and the battle of comparison. Impatience tells you it should have happened by now. Fear whispers, maybe it will never happen. Comparison shouts, look at everyone else. They are moving ahead while you stay behind. These three enemies will try to break your spirit, but they cannot defeat a person who trusts the timing of God. When impatience attacks you, respond with discipline. When fear attacks you, respond with faith. When comparison attacks you, respond with gratitude. These responses open the space for God to act. When you learn to trust the timing of God, you stop living in panic and start living with purpose. You stop rushing and start receiving. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop fighting the process and begin flowing with it. You become anchored in God's rhythm, and when you move in God's rhythm, your life transforms. God does not want you to live anxious. God does not want you to live suffocated by timelines. God does not want you to be tormented by impatience. God wants you to walk with peace, because peace is the soil where blessings grow. Fear and frustration choke blessings, but peace attracts them. Relaxation is not a passive state. It is a spiritual posture. It is the position of someone who says, God, I trust your timing more than my fear. I trust your plan more than my impatience. I trust your wisdom more than my understanding. When you enter this posture, you begin to see evidence of God's hand everywhere. You begin to recognize divine alignments. You begin to witness doors opening without effort. You begin to encounter opportunities that find you instead of you finding them. Relaxation invites miracles because it shows God that you are ready to receive without resistance. Think of all the times in your past when you worried and panicked, only to later look back and say, God knew exactly what He was doing. If God has never failed you before, why would He start failing you now? God's track record is flawless. Every time you thought the delay would destroy you, God proved that the delay was preparing you. Every time you thought the silence meant you were forgotten, God showed you that silence was part of the strategy. Every time you thought you were behind, God brought you ahead in ways you could not imagine. God has not lost the battle concerning your life, and He will not lose this one. Sometimes God delays because He is removing people from your journey who cannot go where you are going. Sometimes God delays because He's shifting the environment so that when He releases your blessing, it is preserved, protected, and positioned to thrive. Sometimes God delays because He's teaching you patience, discipline, discernment, or spiritual maturity. Sometimes God delays because the blessing requires a version of you that has outgrown your former habits, fears, or limitations. You may not understand what God is doing, but you must trust that God does not waste time. If God is taking long, it is because the result will be worth the wait. There are moments when God tests your ability to remain faithful even when nothing seems to change. That is where many people give up. They pray once, twice, 3 times, and when nothing moves, they assume God has closed the door. But hear me clearly, faith is not proven when God answers quickly. Faith is proven when God is silent. The true strength of a believer is measured not by how loudly they shout when things go well, but how firmly they stand when life stands still. If you can trust God in the silence, God will trust you with the blessing. The reason God's timing never fails is because God sees the beginning, the middle, and the end simultaneously. You see the moment, God sees the blueprint. You see the obstacle, God sees the outcome. You see the delay, God sees the destination. God knows every detail, every twist, every unseen danger, every hidden opportunity. God plans with a perfect knowledge. That is why His timing cannot fail. It is informed by divine wisdom, not human impatience. When you trust God's timing, you are aligning yourself with the perfection. Do not let the noise around you make you think nothing is changing. Do not let the opinions of people convince you that you are behind. Do not let the speed of others pressure you into rushing your process. Your story is not their story. Your calling is not their calling. Your timeline is not their timeline. God does not operate with a one-size-fits-all clock. God orchestrates your life according to your purpose, your destiny, your assignment. Comparing your timing to someone else's is like comparing a sunrise to a moonrise. They are both beautiful, but they unfold at different hours. There will come a moment when everything God has been preparing for you will collide with everything He has prepared inside you, and that moment will be your breakthrough. It will not require panic. It will not require striving. It will not require fear. It will simply flow because God has aligned it. You will look back on your waiting season and understand that God was not punishing you. God was maturing you. God was shaping your heart. God was protecting your spirit. God was preparing the platform on which you will stand. Relax, because God has already spoken the word concerning your destiny. Relax, because God is not confused about your future. Relax, because God knows exactly when to open the door. Relax, because God is never late. Relax, because God has never failed. Relax, because what God promised is already written in the unseen, waiting to manifest in the seen. Relax, because what God has ordained cannot be taken from you. Relax, because when God decides it is time, the blessing will not take years, it will take moments. And when it happens, it will happen so suddenly, so beautifully, so perfectly aligned that you will understand why the waiting was necessary. You will understand why certain people had to leave. You will understand why some opportunities were blocked. You will understand why some delays protected you from unseen harm. You will understand why God made you wait. You will understand that every second was preparing you for a moment you were destined to experience. God's timing never fails, never. God is orchestrating something for you right now that requires patience, trust, and surrender. And if you can calm your spirit long enough to see what God is doing, if you can release your anxiety long enough to let God move, if you can silence your fear long enough to hear God's voice, you will witness the manifestation of what you have prayed for. Not halfway, not partially, not almost, fully, completely, perfectly, in the way only God can do. There is a depth to God's timing that human understanding cannot measure, a depth that stretches beyond logic, beyond emotion, beyond the routines of daily life. And the deeper your spirit grows, the clearer you begin to see that God does not simply arrange moments, God arranges transformations. God does not only schedule events, God schedules awakenings. God's timing is not just about when something happens, it is about who you become when it happens. And when God prepares a life-changing moment, He prepares a life-changed person to receive it. That is why you cannot rush what God is shaping. The moment you try to seize control, you disconnect from the divine rhythm that was designed to elevate you beyond your imagination. Sometimes God slows down your life so that the noise around you fades and the whisper of His guidance becomes audible. Sometimes God pauses your journey so you can notice what you would have ignored had things moved faster. Sometimes God closes a door not to limit your progress, but to prevent you from walking into a room you were never meant to enter. God's timing is a shield as much as it is a schedule. When God says wait, it is not to weaken you, it is to safeguard you. It is to secure the blessing. It is to protect your destiny. And the moment you begin to trust that God's pauses are purposeful, you begin to see delays not as barriers, but as blessings in disguise. Many people suffer spiritually because they think speed equals success. They want everything instantly, instant answers, instant breakthroughs, instant promotions, instant solutions. But instant blessings often fade just as instantly. What God builds slowly, God sustains permanently. What is crafted over time is anchored in strength. When God develops you through seasons of patience, He is constructing a foundation that cannot collapse. You may feel like others are outrunning you, but speed means nothing if the destination crumbles. When God moves you, He moves you into something that will last. God does not simply elevate you, He establishes you. There are seasons God intentionally hides you. You may feel overlooked, unseen, forgotten, but hear me, hidden seasons are holy seasons. They are moments when God works on you privately so He can reveal you publicly at the right time. You are not buried, you are planted. A seed must be hidden before it rises. A seed must sit in darkness before it breaks open. A seed must endure pressure before it transforms. And when God decides that it is time for the seed to emerge, there is no power on earth that can stop the sprouting. You may not like the darkness, but the darkness is the proof that God is preparing you for light. Do not resent the seasons where God feels silent. Silence is not absence. Silence is instruction. Silence is alignment. In the silence, God is teaching you how to hear beyond the words, to sense beyond the emotion, to perceive beyond the vision. In the silence, God adjusts your spirit so that you no longer chase noise, but seek truth. Silence trains you to rely not on stimulation, but on revelation. And revelation only comes when your spirit becomes still enough to receive it. When God is quiet, God is teaching you how to grow. Many people lose their blessing because they panic before the miracle arrives. Fear makes you react. Panic makes you abandon your position. Impatience makes you sabotage what God is constructing. But strength, true spiritual strength, comes from anchoring yourself in God. Even when nothing makes sense, in the unseen, God is aligning circumstances. In the background, God is shifting hearts. In the quiet, God is preparing solutions that will arrive exactly when your spirit is ready to hold them. When God works slowly, it is because the blessing is too great to rush. When God works quickly, it is because the preparation is complete. God never makes a mistake in timing. Your task is not to predict the moment. Your task is to remain faithful until the moment comes. Many people want to know when, but God wants you to know Him. When your trust deepens, timing becomes less stressful. When your faith matures, waiting becomes less painful. When your confidence shifts from deadlines to God's will, your heart becomes unshakable. You stop counting days and start trusting direction. You stop demanding answers and start embracing assurance. You stop fearing delays and start recognizing them as divine design. There will be times when everything inside you wants to rush ahead, to force outcomes, to push past God's pace. But hear this truth. Anything you obtain outside of God's timing will require you to maintain outside of God's grace. And maintaining what God did not authorize drains your spirit, exhausts your peace, and disrupts your destiny. But what arrives in God's timing carries God's strength. It comes with the ease, with the clarity, with the peace. It fits, it aligns, it feels right because it is right. When God's timing meets God's promise, you will know it instantly. When God finally moves in your life, it will not feel random. It will feel precise. It will feel intentional. It will feel like everything you went through, every delay, every disappointment, every closed door, every unanswered prayer was a part of a masterful plan that now reveals its purpose. You will see how God redirected you, protected you, humbled you, elevated you, and transformed you behind the scenes. You will stand in awe of how God took every fragmented piece of your story and assembled them into something beautiful, powerful, meaningful. You will see that nothing was wasted. God used it all. There is a divine rest that comes when you finally release, control, and trust God fully. This rest is not laziness. It is not apathy. It is a spiritual confidence. It is the peace that says, I do not know how, but I know who. It is the quiet certainty that whispers, I do not know when, but I know it will happen. It is the strength that acknowledges, I cannot see it now, but God has already written the outcome. When you dwell in this divine rest, you stop striving and start living. You stop worrying and start trusting. You stop fearing and start expecting. Expectation is the atmosphere where miracles are born. When your heart expects God to move, you shift from worry to readiness. You begin to prepare for what has not yet appeared. You begin to step into the identity God intended for you long before the blessing arrives. You begin to carry yourself with the dignity of someone who knows God's promise is assured. Expectation changes everything. It changes your posture, your energy, your decisions, your discipline. Expectation is faith in motion. And when you live with expectation, you no longer beg God to move. You position yourself for the moment He does. You purify your motives. You sharpen your focus. You strengthen your values. You grow in integrity. You cultivate peace. You refine your spirit. You become the version of yourself that God has always seen even when you didn't. This transformation is part of the timing. God will not give you a blessing that your character cannot carry. So God shapes your spirit before He shapes your circumstances. You have not been denied, you have been prepared, you have not been ignored, you have been refined, you have not been delayed, you have been aligned. Every season of waiting has been a season of becoming. And the moment God reveals what He has prepared, you will understand that the wait was not long at all, it was perfect. God's timing is always perfect because God is perfect. So relax your mind, relax your spirit, relax your fear. Relax your assumptions. Relax your anxieties. God is not confused about your future. God is not concerned about your timeline. God is not overwhelmed by your challenges. God knows exactly what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And when He moves with precision that breaks limitation, dissolves obstacles, and accelerates destiny. You may not know how close you are to breakthrough. You may not realize how near the shift is. You may not understand how much God has already orchestrated on your behalf. But the moment God opened the door, you will see that everything you worried about was unnecessary. God was always in control. God has always been ahead of you. God has always been guiding you step by step, even when it felt like wandering. God's timing never fails. There are moments in life when God slows the world around you, not to punish you, but to clear your vision. When life becomes quiet, when movement pauses, when progress feels suspended, God is not withholding your breakthrough. God is preparing you to recognize it. Sometimes blessings arrive softly, disguised in subtle shifts, and if your spirit is restless, you will miss what God has placed right before you. God teaches you how to see beyond the surface, how to discern beyond the emotion, how to sense His direction, even when everything else feels still. This is why you must never underestimate the power of waiting. Waiting refines sight. Waiting strengthens discernment. Waiting trains your heart to follow God rather than follow the crowd. When God orchestrates timing, He is not responding to circumstance, He is commanding it. Every delay holds a divine origin. Every setback contains hidden instruction. Every closed door carries protection coded into it. But this truth becomes visible only to those who stop fighting God's pace. The more you resist God's timing, the harder the journey feels. The more you align with God's timing, the smoother your spirit becomes. You begin to understand that God is not simply guiding your life, God is guarding it. God's timing is a shield on one side and a key on the other. It blocks what is not meant for you, and it unlocks what is. And this divine system never fails. You must also know that God's timing is deeply connected to the people around you. Not everyone who walks into your life is meant to stay for the revelation God is preparing. Some people are temporary lessons, others are lifelong alignments. God will delay certain blessings until He has removed the voices that would distort them. God will withhold certain opportunities until He has separated you from those who would sabotage them. God will pause your journey because He refuses to let the wrong person walk with you into the right season. The blessing God has for you is too precious to be contaminated by unprepared hearts. When someone suddenly exits your life, it is not chaos, it is choreography. There are seasons when God tests your ability to trust Him even when everything seems contrary to His promise. You may pray for abundance and find yourself in lack. You may pray for strength and find yourself in weakness. You may pray for clarity and walk through confusion. But these contradictions are not contradictions at all. They are divine training. God often allows you to experience the opposite of what you asked for, so He can prepare you to handle the very thing you desire. If you ask for patience, God will send the seasons that require it. If you ask for strength, God will bring challenges that demand it. If you ask for wisdom, God will place you in situations that reveal the necessity of it. God's timing includes development, and development is always uncomfortable. There are dimensions of blessing only accessible through spiritual maturity. God does not give powerful destinies to untrained hearts. God does not give heavy responsibility to unsteady character. God does not give a profound influence to untested discipline. Your wait is not simply about arrival, it is about transformation. God is shaping your responses. God is strengthening your endurance. God is purifying your motives. God is enlarging your capacity so that when the blessing manifests, you do not crumble under its weight. God does not want you to receive a blessing you cannot sustain. A blessing that breaks you is not a blessing, it is a burden. So God strengthens you before He elevates you. There is also mysterious beauty in how God rewrites your story while you are unaware. You may feel as though nothing is changing, yet God is realigning the trajectory of your life in silence. There are battles you never saw because God fought them without informing you. There are opportunities that moved toward you long before you prayed for them. There are people God prepared years in advance just to bless you in a single moment. And when the timing comes together, you will stand in awe of how God orchestrated things that seemed impossible to connect. You will realize that every quiet season was an active season in the realm you could not see. Relaxing in God's timing does not mean becoming passive. It means becoming spiritually synchronized. It means walking with the rhythm God has written for your life rather than forcing the beat of your own impatience. It means trusting that God is not only preparing your blessing, He is preparing the environment in which your blessing will thrive. If the ground is not ready, the seed will rot. If the atmosphere is not aligned, the breakthrough will collapse. But when God perfects the conditions, everything unfolds effortlessly. What you couldn't lift will rise. What you couldn't open will swing wide. What you couldn't make happen will fall into place naturally. You may think God is slow, but God is never slow. God is meticulous. God is intentional. God is purposeful. Every detail matters to Him. Every sequence is planned. Every moment is woven. God's hand is on the big events and the smallest interactions. Even the seasons that felt wasted were silently molding you. The nights you cried, the days you felt forgotten, the situations you thought broke you, they were refining you. They were strengthening your spirit so that when God lifts you, nothing can pull you down again. Sometimes God delays because He wants your spirit to detach from outcomes and anchor in Him alone. If your peace depends on events, you will always be unstable. If your peace depends on timing, you will always be anxious. But when your peace depends on God, you become untouchable. Nothing can shake the soul that rests in God. Nothing can break the person who trusts God's way more than their own wishes. And once God establishes this level of spiritual grounding in you, He knows you are ready for the next chapter. You must also understand that God's timing is a form of a silent communication. Even when He says nothing, He is speaking. Even when He feels distant, He is drawing you closer. Even when He withholds answers, He is guiding you toward deeper faith. Silence from God is not disapproval, it is invitation. It is God calling you to lean in, listen with your heart, and trust without evidence. Faith grows not in abundance but in uncertainty. Faith strengthens not in clarity but in surrender. And the more your faith expands, the more confidently you walk into what God has prepared. The breakthrough God has designed for you will not require you to struggle to keep it. What is given in divine timing comes with divine support. God does not simply release blessings, He maintains them. God does not simply open doors, He guards them. God does not simply elevate you, He surrounds you with protection so that nothing and no one can uproot what He has established. This is why trusting the timing is as important as receiving the blessing. And when God finally unveils what He has been preparing, you will notice something extraordinary. It will feel natural. It will feel peaceful. It will feel like it was always meant to be. Because it was everything you endured, every disappointment you faced, every moment you questioned yourself, all of it was God carving the path. Nothing was random. Nothing was wasted. God used everything to orchestrate the moment that is coming. Continue to relax. Continue to breathe. Continue to stand firm. Continue to trust the timeline of the one who knows the end before the beginning. The season you are walking into was not delayed, only perfected. And when God reveals it, your spirit will understand why the wait had to happen exactly the way it did. And now, as your spirit absorbs every truth God has been whispering into your journey, let this final conviction settle deep within you. Nothing God plans for you can be rushed, ruined, or removed. What God authors cannot be edited by fear, interrupted by people, or rewritten by circumstance. God's timing is the ultimate guarantee that your destiny is protected, guided, and unfolding with divine precision. You are not behind, you are not late, you are not forgotten. You are exactly where God needs you to be for the next chapter He is preparing to release. So walk away from this moment with a renewed calm in your soul. Let the weight you've been carrying dissolve into trust. Let the anxiety that has followed you for years melt into surrender. Lift your head and steady your heart, because the same God who carried you through every silent night is the God who will lift you into every promised morning. You are closer than you think. Breakthrough is nearer than it appears. The shift is already in motion. The doors are already unlocking. The path is already cleared. The blessing is already formed. All you need to do now is stay aligned, stay anchored, and stay expectant. Relax into God's timing, because what is coming is greater than anything you imagined, stronger than anything that tried to stop you, and more beautiful than anything you believed you deserved. Trust the pace. Trust the plan. Trust the one who holds your entire life in His hands. God's timing never fails. Rest in it, wait in it, and soon you will see what only God can make happen. When you feel like the weight of life has pressed so heavily against your chest that you can barely breathe, when your spirit trembles under pressures no one else can see, when you sit alone in the quiet of your room, wondering how much longer you can keep standing, hear this truth with unshakable conviction. God knows it is hard, and God is about to send help that will break through your darkness like the rising of a new dawn. You are not invisible to the heavens. You are not forgotten in your struggle. The very moments that feel impossible for you are the moments God uses to reveal divine strength, divine timing, and divine rescue. God has been watching every tear, every sigh, every silent prayer you whispered into the night, and God is preparing help in ways you cannot imagine. There are nights when you stare at the ceiling, exhausted from battles no one else even knows you are fighting. You have been strong for too long. You have carried too much. You have endured the seasons that should have broken you completely. Yet here you are still breathing, still hoping, still fighting. And if you wonder why you have survived the storms that others could not, it is because God has held your spirit in the palm of His hand. God has seen your struggle. And God has decided that your suffering will not end in defeat, but in breakthrough. You may not see the end yet, but God has already determined it. God knows the battles that happen inside your mind. the heaviness in your heart, the pressure that sits on your shoulders, God sees the pain that hides behind your smile. God knows when your strength is genuine and when it is held together by threads. God knows when you are pretending to be okay but feel like collapsing inside. And because God knows, God is about to intervene. The help that is coming is not ordinary, not temporary, not shallow. God is sending a help that transforms, restores, uplifts, and strengthens in ways you have never experienced before. Sometimes life becomes the heaviest right before God shifts your entire direction. The path feels narrow, the nights feel long, and the struggle intensifies, not because God has left you, but because God is preparing you. When the pressure increases, it is often a sign that something powerful is forming. When the burden feels too heavy to carry, it is a sign that God is about to lift it. When your strength feels depleted, it is a sign that divine strength is about to take over. God does not abandon you in the middle of hardship. God walks with you through every valley. And when you reach the point of exhaustion, God becomes your strength. You may feel like your life has been frozen in a long season of waiting for answers, waiting for change, waiting for something to break open. But waiting is never wasted when God is involved. God uses waiting to build clarity, discipline, resilience, and faith. God uses waiting to prepare you for what you cannot receive prematurely. God uses waiting to protect you from stepping into something that is not ready. You are not being delayed. You are being developed. You are not stuck. You are being shaped. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared. And when God finishes the preparation, the help you have prayed for will arrive with a force that overturns every obstacle in your path. Do not mistake silence for absence. God has been silently arranging everything behind the scenes. God has aligned the people who will enter your life at exactly the right moment. God has positioned opportunities that will appear suddenly. God has prepared open doors that no one can shut. The very things that seemed impossible will become effortless when God releases the help destined for you. What you try to fix on your own will be resolved without your efforts. What you thought would require years will shift in moments. What you thought was over will be reborn with new power. God has been working while you were worrying. You may wonder why the struggle has lasted so long. You may wonder why the breakthrough has taken time. You may wonder why God allows certain hardships to touch your life. But understand this deeply. The difficulty was not designed to destroy you. It was designed to strengthen you. You cannot carry the blessings God wants to place in your hands without the endurance that comes from struggle. You cannot handle the next level of your purpose without the discipline forged through hardship. You cannot become who you are meant to be without the refining that comes from trials. Pain has been preparing you for power. Disappointment has been preparing you for clarity. Loneliness has been preparing you for divine connection. Loss has been preparing you for divine restoration. And now the season is shifting. The hardship has reached its fullness. The storm has reached its limit. The tears have watered the soil long enough. God has said enough. And when God declares enough, the battle ends. When God declares enough, the weight lifts. When God declares enough, the breakthrough begins. You are approaching a divine turning point where everything changes your strength, your clarity, your opportunities, your relationships, your path, your confidence, your entire future. You must understand, God sends help in many forms. Sometimes help comes as a person who enters your life unexpectedly, someone who understands what you need without explanation. Sometimes help comes as a door that opens suddenly, one you did not even know existed. Sometimes help comes through a shift in your mind, a new strength you did not realize you carried. Sometimes help comes by removing what has been draining you. Sometimes help comes wrapped in loss because God is clearing space for something greater. Help does not always look like you expect, but when God sends it, you will recognize it by the peace that follows. God is about to send help that will lift the weight you have been carrying alone. God is about to send help that will strengthen what has been weak for too long. God is about to send the help that will reveal opportunities you never saw before. God is about to send help that will bring people into your life who honor your spirit and support your journey. God is about to send help that will break generational patterns and open generational blessings. God is about to send help that will confirm your purpose and illuminate your path. You have cried long enough. You have suffered long enough. You have waited long enough. God has seen every moment, and the divine response is already on its way. You might feel unworthy. You might feel tired. You might feel unsure. But God does not send help because you are strong. God sends help because you are loved. God does not intervene because you are perfect. God intervenes because you are precious. God does not support you because you have figured everything out. God supports you because your heart has remained sincere even through struggle. You have kept going even when quitting would have been easier. You have remained faithful even when your faith felt fragile. You have kept believing even when your hope was under attack. God has seen your endurance, and God is about to reward it. Even in moments of weakness, especially in moments of weakness, God steps in with divine strength. The help that is coming will not feel like a human assistance. It will feel like something greater, something deeper, something that touches your spirit. The shift that is coming is not a coincidence. It is a divine arrangement. The blessing that is approaching you is not luck. It is alignment. The opportunity that will arise is not random. It is orchestrated. God has walked with you through the hardest chapters so you can step into the most victorious ones. And when the help arrives, everything that once felt heavy will feel light. Everything that once felt confusing will become clear. Everything that once felt impossible will become achievable. You will understand why God allowed certain things to happen and prevented others from happening. You will see how every delay protected you. You will realize that what you thought was breaking you was preparing you. You will recognize that the pain was shaping you into someone capable of holding the blessings that are coming. God knows it is hard. God knows you are tired. God knows you have carried enough. But God is about to send help that will lift, help that will strengthen, help that will open doors, help that will bring peace, help that will transform your life from the inside out. Stand firm. Hold your ground. You're closer than you think. Your breakthrough is already on its way. When the human heart reaches the point where it whispers, I don't know how much longer I can endure this, that is often the moment when the realm you cannot see begins to shift. You have been standing in a place where your strength feels thin, your courage feels worn, and your hope feels stretched. But you must understand something sacred. God does some of the greatest work in your life at the exact moment you feel you have nothing left to give. When your human endurance ends, God's divine intervention begins. When your mind is overwhelmed, God releases clarity. When your spirit is weary, God pours strength that rises from a place deeper than your own understanding. And right now, God is preparing a help so profound, so precisely designed for your struggle that it will not simply lift you, it will transform you. Some seasons are allowed not to weaken you, but to sharpen you. People often assume that hardship is a sign of abandonment, when in truth, it is often the proof of divine attention. God invests the most into those He is preparing for something greater. You cannot rise without resistance. You cannot grow without stretching. You cannot ascend without being lifted out of places you have outgrown. The discomfort you are feeling is not a random inconvenience. It is a divine signal that a new chapter is being formed in the unseen. God is rearranging the circumstances of your life, one detail at a time, to position you for a level of strength, wisdom, and direction you have never walked in before. You have been pushed, squeezed, and pressed because God is making room in your life for something bigger, something holier, something more aligned with who you were meant to become. You may have been asking for relief, but God has been preparing release from burdens, release from old cycles, release from what has been draining your spirit. You may have been praying for answers, but God has been crafting elevation. You wanted survival. God is preparing victory. And the help that is coming will not merely meet your need, it will exceed it. God does not send small support to those who have endured great suffering. Many people do not realize that the help God sends often begins internally before it manifests externally. It may begin as a shift in your mind, a sudden new strength, a clarity that emerges in the middle of confusion. It may begin as a release of old emotional weights. It may begin as a courage you did not expect. God often strengthens the inner world before transforming the outer world. You may not see the changes around you yet, but if something in you is beginning to awaken, beginning to rise, beginning to hope again, that is already the first sign that God's help has entered your life. There will be moments when God removes people, opportunities, or familiar patterns, not to punish you, but to protect you. Sometimes help arrives wrapped in loss. Sometimes the removal is the rescue. Sometimes the absence is the protection. Sometimes God closes a door because what waits behind it is too small for the destiny He is preparing. Sometimes rejection is the redirection that saves your life. Trust this, when God allows something to leave, it is because something greater is being prepared to enter. You may think you have been forgotten because the answers have not arrived yet. But God is never late. Human clocks measure minutes, divine timing measures destiny. What you call delay, God calls development. What you call waiting, God calls preparation. And what you call silence, God calls strategy. God has not been ignoring you. God has been arranging everything around you so that when the moment comes, every step is aligned, every door is prepared, every opportunity is positioned, and every blessing is secured. There is a kind of help that only God can send, help that does not come from human advice, human intervention, or human strength. It is the help that arrives when human ability reaches its limit. It is the help that comes with clarity, peace, and direction that no one else could have given. It is the help that sets your spirit back into place when life has pushed it out of alignment. This help carries a power that comes from beyond the seen world, a guidance that cannot be explained by logic, and a confidence that touches your soul like fire touches kindling. And this help is coming to you swiftly, powerfully, unmistakably. There comes a moment in every person's life where God decides, now, not yesterday, not later, but now. And when God says now, nothing can stop the breakthroughs that unfold. Obstacles fall, blockages dissolve, fear loses its grip, doors open without warning. People who once resisted you begin to support you. The past that seemed invisible becomes illuminated. You are entering a divine now moment. You may not feel it yet, but the shift is already in motion. Your spirit can sense things before your mind understands them. You may feel a restlessness you cannot explain, a tension that does not make sense, an anticipation that rises from within. That is spiritual sensitivity awakening. That is your soul detecting the movement of God. Something deep inside you already knows that your story will not end in pain, that your future is bigger than your present battle, that your destiny is stronger than your current exhaustion. That inner knowing is not your imagination. It is a signal that God is near, God is working, God is preparing. Do not underestimate the power of the moments when you felt close to breaking. Those were the moments where God strengthened you the most. Every time you wanted to walk away but stayed, you grew. Every time you wanted to give up but kept fighting, you expanded. Every time you felt hopeless but still whispered a prayer, you deepened spiritually, and God saw all of it. God saw your hidden strength. God saw your quiet endurance. God saw your courage to rise each morning despite the heaviness. And because God saw, God is responding. Help from God is always precise. It arrives according to need, but also according to destiny. God will not send assistance that merely comforts you in the moment. God sends the support that moves you into the future, the help coming your way. Will not only lift your burden, it will point your life in a direction that aligns with a greater purpose. God will send the right words, the right people, the right timing, the right clarity, the right opportunities, and sometimes the right endings. Everything God sends carries meaning. Some help will feel like a healing. Some help will feel like empowerment. Some help will feel like sudden realization. Some help will feel like divine redirection. But all of it will carry the signature of God, peace, clarity, and the sense of rightness that settles deep into your soul. You will know when it arrives because everything inside you will exhale, your spirit will straighten, your mind will settle, your emotions will breathe. God's help brings alignment. Do not lose your strength in the final stretch of this journey. People give up not because they are weak, but because they do not recognize how close help truly is. The darkest part of the night is moments before dawn. The heaviest pressure in life often comes moments before breakthrough. Your spirit has been stretched not because you are failing, but because you are growing. Growth always demands discomfort. Transformation always requires pressure, and elevation always requires surrender to a higher plan. God is not taking you backwards. God is lifting you upward. Soon you will stand in a place where everything makes sense. Soon you will look back and realize that the very path you questioned was the path that saved you. Soon you will see how God's protection was woven into every closed door, every delayed blessing, every unexpected change. Soon you will understand that God was not denying you, God was delivering you. God was not ignoring your pain, God was strengthening your character. God was not withholding help, God was preparing the help to arrive at the exact moment it would create the greatest transformation. There comes a point in every spiritual journey when the struggle becomes so intense that it almost feels like the air around you becomes heavier, the days longer, and the nights quieter. You start to wonder whether your prayers are still reaching beyond the ceiling, whether your cries are still heard, whether your exhaustion still matters. But understand this with the depth that anchors your soul. When your strength reaches its limit, God's intervention reaches its beginning. The pressure you feel is not the sign of abandonment. It is the sign that God is drawing near with a purpose that outweighs every burden you have carried. You are not on the edge of a collapse. You are on the edge of divine assistance. There are moments when God allows you to walk through valleys not to weaken you, but to reveal what has always been inside you. You discover courage you didn't know you had. You uncover wisdom that was molded through hardship. You awaken to a depth of faith that only adversity can summon. God does not expose you to these seasons for destruction. God exposes you to them for revelation. You learn who you are in the fire. You learn who God is in the silence. And when you rise from it, you rise with a force that cannot be shaken by the winds of life. Many times the help you are waiting for requires transformation before manifestation. God shapes your inner world before shaping your outer circumstances. You cannot receive divine elevation with a mindset still tied to old fears. You cannot walk through open doors with the same limitations that closed the last ones. So God works in the unseen places, your thoughts, your perspectives, your spirit, your wounds. God begins by cleansing the internal atmosphere so that when help arrives, you can stand in it with clarity, strength, and purpose. The assistance God sends is too great to be placed into a troubled mind or a weary heart without preparation. So the struggle you feel is not punishment, it is refinement. You must also understand that the help God sends is not random nor accidental. It is assigned, it is ordained, it is destined. God does not send anything prematurely. Just as a seed remains under the soil until the ground is ready to release it, your season of help remains concealed until the timing secures your success. If help came earlier, you might not have recognized it. If help came earlier, you might have mishandled it. If help came earlier, you might have settled for less than what God intended. But now, after all you've endured, after all you've learned, after all you've survived, you are ready. Ready to receive, ready to rise, ready to move. There is a spiritual law that governs your journey. When you remain faithful in the dark, God reveals greatness in the light. Every time you continued with the tears in your eyes, every time you remained steadfast with the questions in your heart, every time you fought battles silently while appearing calm to others, God counted it. God recorded it. God honored it. Nothing you suffered has been ignored. Nothing you lost has been dismissed. Nothing you prayed has been forgotten. The unseen realm remembers your endurance, and God responds to perseverance with the elevation. Sometimes God sends help through new strength you didn't pray for, but suddenly you have it. You wake up one morning and the heaviness feels lighter. You walk into the day and feel a boldness that contradicts your circumstances. That is God strengthening your spirit before shifting your story. Sometimes the miracle is not the door that opens, but the weight that lifts. Sometimes the breakthrough is not external change, but internal stability. Do not underestimate the divine power of a renewed mind or a restored heart. God often helps you first by healing the wounds that were invisible to everyone, but deeply felt by you. Other times, God sends help through people who appear out of nowhere, guided by compassion. They don't even understand. People who speak life into your spirit, who stand with you in moments when others walked away, who see your worth when you feel diminished. These people are not coincidences. They are instruments of God. You are never meant to journey alone. And God chooses the right voices at the right moment to strengthen what has grown weak. When someone enters your life with peace, clarity, or support that feels supernatural, recognize it as a divine appointment. And then there are times when help comes through change, unexpected change that shifts your path entirely. You may not understand it at first. You may feel unsettled, confused, or even afraid. But change is often the language God uses when words are not enough. When God moves you out of a place, it is because that place can no longer hold your purpose. When God ends a season, it is because that season has completed its work in your life. When God closes a door, it is because the next one requires more power, more vision, and more maturity than the last. Change is not disruption, it is divine redirection. You may think God is silent, but silence is not absence. Silence is strategy. Silence is alignment. Silence is preparation. God often works in stillness because stillness prevents interference. God hides His greatest works beneath layers of quiet so that when they emerge, no one else can take credit for what was divinely orchestrated. When you sense nothing happening, that is often when everything is happening the most. Trust that silence carries movement. The truth is this: help is already on the way, and nothing can stop what God has ordained. Not fear, not doubt, not opposition, not delay, not the past, not the present, not the storms that threaten to drown you. God has marked you for deliverance, and what God marks cannot be canceled by anything in creation. You are standing in the final moments before divine assistance breaks into your life. The pressure you feel is the sign of a proximity. The tension you feel is the sign of a transition. The inner stirring you feel is the sign that God's help is already moving toward you. Soon, you will witness what happens when God steps into a situation fully. The weight will break, the confusion will clear, the path will open, the opportunities will align, the answers will come without strain, the blessings will appear without struggle. You will not need to force anything, chase anything, or beg for anything. When God sends help, it flows, it aligns, it unfolds. And when this help arrives, your spirit will recognize it instantly. There will be a peace that settles deeply, a clarity that sharpens your vision, a courage that awakens your purpose. You will rise differently. You will walk differently. You will speak differently. You will think differently. God's help doesn't just change situations, it changes people. And that is what is happening to you now. You are being transformed in preparation for divine elevation. Listen closely, for this is the moment your spirit needs to hear with the unwavering clarity. God knows the depth of your struggle, the weight of your trials, and the exhaustion of your soul. And God is preparing help that is beyond anything you could imagine. You may feel surrounded by obstacles, by people who misunderstand you, by circumstances that refuse to bend, but every single one of these is temporary. God sees them all. God measures them all. And God will intervene in ways so precise, so powerful, that the breakthrough will feel like destiny itself has arrived at your door. There is a season when everything seems to press against you, pressure on your mind, pressure on your body, pressure on your spirit. That pressure, though uncomfortable, is not a signal of abandonment. It is a signal of preparation. God used the weight of difficulty to awaken something within you that only emerges through endurance. Strength you didn't know existed. Faith you thought was fading. Courage you thought had left you. The heaviness you feel is the sign that your spirit is being ready to receive divine assistance, help that will restore, elevate, and transform your life in ways that human hands could never achieve. Understand this. God's help often arrives in the form of timing that the human eye cannot see. It may seem like nothing is happening. It may seem like prayers go unanswered. It may seem like the world is moving forward while you remain trapped. But God is orchestrating, arranging, and aligning every piece in secret. People may appear to fail you. Doors may close. Seasons may feel long. But God has a plan so meticulous that the slightest movement of your life is guided, protected, and positioned for maximum impact. What appears as delay is actually divine strategy. What feels like a silence is actually spiritual preparation. What seems like waiting is actually the molding of your destiny. Do not despise the difficult days. Do not resent the lonely nights. Do not fear the storms that rage around you. Each of these has been designed to make you ready for the help that God is sending. Every tear, every trial, every moment of uncertainty has been recorded by God. Every single instance of endurance has been honored by God. And the help coming to you is not random, it is intentional, it is measured, it is perfectly suited for the challenges you face and the destiny you are meant to walk into. God often sends help in ways that shift not only circumstances but your very perception. You will begin to see things that you could not see before. You will begin to hear guidance that you could not hear before. You will begin to understand truths that were hidden in your pain. The divine assistance that is arriving is as much about awakening your spirit as it is about changing your environment. God strengthens you from the inside out so that when the external breakthrough occurs, you are ready to receive it fully, without fear, without hesitation, and without compromise. You will stand stronger, wiser, and more confident than you ever imagined. Sometimes God's help comes through people who step into your life at exactly the right moment, whose presence brings clarity, peace, or opportunity. Sometimes help comes through circumstances that align in impossible ways. Sometimes it comes as insight, as a sudden wisdom, as a revelation that changes your direction entirely. But in every case, the signature is unmistakable. Peace in your heart, certainty in your mind, and a sense of divine alignment that cannot be mistaken. God's help always bears the mark of divinity. It restores, it strengthens, it elevates, and it leads you into your destiny. Do not lose faith when things appear stagnant. Do not despair when progress seems slow. Do not let the weight of the current moment blind you to the movement of God behind the scenes. God works in ways that human eyes cannot perceive. God moves in the quiet, in the stillness, and sometimes in ways that defy logic. You cannot see the forces aligning, the doors being prepared, the obstacles being removed, but rest assured, it is happening. The unseen hand of God is orchestrating your breakthrough even now. Your moment of release, of restoration, of elevation is closer than you realize. Remember this, help from God is never partial. It is always complete. It does not merely remove a problem temporarily. It does not just give relief for a moment. God's help transforms the situation, restores what was lost, and empowers you to walk in victory. God's assistance reshapes your path so that the blessings that follow are enduring. When God sends help, everything aligns in perfect harmony. The timing, the people, the opportunities, the resources all converge in a way that cannot be explained by human effort. God is not only rescuing you, God is propelling you forward into a season that exceeds every expectation. You may feel exhausted. You may feel overwhelmed. You may feel unworthy. But hear this truth. You are exactly where God wants you to be in order to receive what God has prepared. The struggles you have endured have not been wasted. The pain you have felt has not been ignored. The endurance you have shown has not been overlooked. God is about to turn every tear into testimony, every setback into setup, every delay into demonstration of power. What has been hidden will be revealed. What has been delayed will be delivered. What has been heavy will be lifted. And you will walk forward in a strength, clarity, and favor that can only come from God. Even if the world around you is shaking, even if people have failed, even if opportunities have seemed impossible, know this, God is faithful to respond to your perseverance. When you have kept your spirit upright, when you have refused to yield to despair, when you have trusted, even when the circumstances made no sense, God takes notice. And the help that comes will not merely fix what is broken, it will elevate you above every challenge, above every doubt, above every opposition. You will see clearly that God's timing was perfect, that God's intervention was exact, and that God's wisdom far surpasses human understanding. Do not rush the process. Do not doubt the promise. Do not underestimate the preparation. The help that is approaching is too great to arrive prematurely. God will not release it until you are ready to receive it fully, until the circumstances align perfectly, and until the blessings can be held without compromise. Every moment of struggle, every period of endurance, every test of faith has been necessary. And now, the moment of a breakthrough is near. Stand strong. Keep believing. Hold your ground. God knows it is hard, and God is about to send help that will make your victory undeniable. Soon, the doors that were closed will open. Soon, the burdens that weighed you down will lift. Soon, the clarity you have longed for will arrive. Soon, the peace you have sought will settle over your heart. Soon, the strength you thought was gone will rise within you. The help God is sending is not ordinary. It is divine, perfect, and life-changing. The trials will be replaced by triumph. The despair will be replaced by hope. The uncertainty will be replaced by clarity. And you will walk forward into a new season, knowing with absolute certainty that the hand of God has moved on your behalf. Every step you take from this moment forward will be guided. Every decision will be illuminated. Every challenge will be met with wisdom and strength beyond your natural ability. God's help is coming, and it will not simply carry you through, it will lift you above, beyond, and into the fullness of what has been prepared for you. Trust in it. Expect it. Stand firm in it. God has seen your struggle. God knows it is hard, and God is about to send help that will change everything. Your victory is already being arranged. Your breakthrough is already on its way. Your season of a divine favor is already arriving. Believe it, receive it, and prepare to walk in the fullness of the help God has promised. Listen to me. There are moments in your life when you look at your situation and everything and you whispers, it's too late, it's too far gone, maybe it wasn't meant for me. But right now, I want you to feel this truth, shake in your spirit awake. God is saying, I'm still going to do it for you. Even when you think the window has closed, even when the world tries to convince you that your season has passed, God still has the final word. And His word to you in this moment is a word of power, a word of certainty, a word of unstoppable promise. God is not finished. God has not withdrawn His plan. God has not abandoned what He spoke over your life. What He began, He is still going to complete, and no force of darkness, no human opinion, no unexpected delay can overturn what God has decided to do for you. There is someone listening right now, and you have been feeling discouraged because you thought God forgot what He promised you. You thought too much time had slipped away. You thought the wrong people damaged the right opportunity. You thought your own mistakes disqualified you. But hear this with every fiber of your being. God does not cancel His promise because of time, because of people, or because of your past. God fulfills His promise because He is God, faithful, consistent, sovereign, and unstoppable. There is nothing you have done that can make God abandon His word. There is no delay that can weaken His plan. When God says He will do something, it becomes a spiritual decree, a divine certainty, a timeline that cannot be erased by the disruptions of life. You see, your delay is not denial. Your waiting season is not punishment. Your unanswered prayers are not signs of abandonment. Your slow progress is not evidence of failure. Many people misunderstand waiting. They think waiting means God is silent, God is distant, God is ignoring them. But waiting is often the clearest sign that God is working, because God prepares what He promises. God shapes what He sends. God reforms the vessel before He releases the blessing. When the process feels long, it's because the blessing is weighty. When the journey feels tiring, it's because the fulfillment is powerful. You are not simply waiting, you are being positioned, strengthened, expanded, elevated, and prepared by God Himself. There are things God will do instantly in your life, but the greatest things, your calling, your destiny, your purpose, your breakthrough, those are not microwave blessings. Those are cultivated blessings. God takes His time with what matters, and you matter. The promise He gave you matters. The doors He will open for you matter. The influence He will entrust to you matters. And God is saying, I'm still going to do it for you. Even if it looks like circumstances have collapsed, even if it feels like your strength has run out, even if others have walked ahead and you feel left behind, God is still going to do it. Not because the situation looks good, not because you feel strong, not because everything is perfectly aligned. No, God will do it because He already decided it. God will do it because He designed you for it. God will do it because His timing holds more power than human timelines. Some of you have been fighting silent battles. Battles in your mind, battles in your heart, battles in your home. And you've been asking God, when will things change for me? You've been faithful, you've been patient, you've been obedient, you've been giving your best even when no one sees your effort. And even though you are tired, even though you are exhausted, even though you wonder if anything will ever shift, God is sending you this message. Do not give up. I'm still going to do it for you. When God speaks like this, it means something is already moving in the unseen realm. It means circumstances are beginning to align. It means people you haven't met yet are being positioned to help you. It means opportunities are being formed. It means closed doors are weakening and new doors are strengthening. It means the environment around you may not show it yet, but your breakthrough has already been activated. God does not need visible evidence to work. God does not need favorable conditions. God does not need human approval. God creates impossible victories in impossible conditions. When the situation is the darkest, God shines the brightest. When the challenge is the biggest, God reveals the greatest power. When the obstacle is overwhelming, God brings overwhelming breakthrough. So if you feel like you're in a tight spot, if you feel like your options are shrinking, if you feel like everything around you is pressing against you, remember this: God often does His greatest work when you are completely out of options. Because when you can no longer rely on your plans, your strategies, your connections, your knowledge, then God's power becomes undeniable. Then God's intervention becomes unmistakable. Then God's fulfillment becomes unstoppable. I want you to understand something deep and unshakable. God does not forget what He promised His people. Human beings forget. Circumstances shift. Feelings fluctuate. Seasons change. But God remains consistent. What He spoke over your life years ago is still active today. Every word God has spoken carries the same power it carried on the day He first whispered it into your heart. Every vision He placed inside you is still alive. Every dream He ignited within you is still burning. You may feel like the fire has died down, but it has not disappeared. God is the one who sparks the flame again. God is the one who breathes life back into the promise. God is the one who restores the passion you lost. God is the one who waters the seeds that have been hidden in the soil of time. And God is saying, I am still going to make it grow. I am still going to bring it to pass. There are promises you thought were dead, but they are not dead. They were buried so they could grow. They were covered so they could develop roots. They were hidden so God could strengthen them in the unseen. Some of your biggest breakthroughs will not come from newly planted seeds. They will come from seeds God planted long ago. Seeds you forgot about, seeds you gave up on, seeds you no longer believed in. But God remembers every seed. And God is saying, I'm still going to do it for you. Not because you are perfect. Not because you have done everything right. Not because your journey has been flawless. But because God is faithful even when you feel faithless. God is consistent even when you feel inconsistent. God's plan does not collapse because you stumbled. God's promise does not expire because you made mistakes. God's purpose does not vanish because you faced setbacks. What God decides, no failure can cancel. Some of you have been facing emotional battles that have drained you. You've been fighting thoughts of doubt, fear, anxiety, rejection, insecurity. You've been wrestling with the feeling that maybe you're not chosen, not special, not worthy of the breakthrough you prayed for. But God did not design you to live defeated. God did not create you to remain in fear. God did not form you to walk with uncertainty in your identity. God crafted you with intention, with purpose, with divine precision. And when God looks at you, He sees potential you haven't discovered yet. He sees doors you haven't walked through yet. He sees victories you haven't stepped into yet. God sees the end from the beginning, and He is saying, I'm still going to do it for you because I made you for it. Sometimes your greatest blessing comes after your greatest disappointment. Sometimes your greatest opportunity comes after your greatest heartbreak. Sometimes your greatest breakthrough comes after your greatest setback. God has a pattern of allowing you to face battles just before He releases the blessing. Why? Because struggle prepares the spirit. Pressure strengthens the heart. Trials purify intentions. Challenges sharpen focus. The enemy often attacks hardest when you are closest to stepping into what God prepared for you. So if your life has been more difficult lately, if your challenges have increased, if your battles have intensified, this is not a sign that God is far. It is a sign that God is extremely close. Your breakthrough is near. Your season is turning. Your harvest is approaching, and God is declaring with power, I'm still going to do it for you. You might feel like too many things went wrong at once. You might feel like nothing is aligning. You might feel like everything is fighting against your movement. But remember this, the greater the calling, the greater the resistance, the greater the blessing, the greater the pressure, the greater the promise, the greater the preparation. God is strengthening you so you can carry what He's about to release. God is stretching you so you can handle the weight of blessing without collapsing under it. God is shaping your character so your destiny will not be destroyed by unpreparedness. You are not suffering for no reason. You are being refined for a divine purpose. What feels like opposition is often preparation. What feels like delay is divine handling. What feels like confusion is God clearing out the old version of you so the new version can rise. Do you know why God is still going to do it for you? Because He has invested too much in you to let your story end in disappointment. He has poured too much wisdom into you. He has carried you through too many nights. He has rescued you from too many dangers. He has seen you push through when you wanted to quit. He has watched you hold on to faith when everything around you said to let go. God is not about to let the enemy write the ending of your story. God is not about to let fear dictate your future. God is not about to let failure define your identity. You belong to God, and what belongs to God cannot be abandoned, cannot be forgotten, cannot be overlooked. You are divinely claimed, divinely covered, divinely guided. And God always finishes what He starts in the lives of those who trust Him. Think about where you were years ago. Think about the situations God carried you out of. Think about the moments that could have destroyed you but didn't. Think about the times you felt like giving up, but something inside you told you to hold on a little longer. That was God. That was God whispering strength into your spirit. That was God protecting you from attacks you didn't see. That was God shielding you when you didn't know you were in danger. That was God preparing you for a destiny you were not yet ready to carry. If God brought you this far, do you truly believe He would stop now? No. God finishes His work. God completes His assignments. God fulfills His promises. What He said, He will do. What He planned, He will perform. What He decreed, He will manifest. Some people stopped believing in you. Some people walked away from you. Some people doubted your potential. Some people underestimated your resilience. Some people thought your story was over, but they are not God. They do not decide your destiny. They do not determine your outcome. They do not have authority over your promise. God alone has authority. And God is saying, I'm still going to do it for you. He does not need the approval of those who doubted you. He does not need the support of those who walked away from you. He does not need validation from the world to bless your life. God will bless you in front of people who said you'd never make it. God will elevate you in front of those who thought you were unqualified. God will open doors that no critic, no enemy, no hater can shut. God is about to prove that His promise has more power than human opinions. You have cried silent tears. You have prayed prayers that no one heard. You have endured pain that no one understood. But God saw every tear. God heard every prayer. God felt every wound. God noticed every battle. And God is not ignoring your suffering. God is not overlooking your effort. God is not dismissing your faithfulness. God is preparing a blessing that matches the magnitude of the battles you fought. You are not going to be rewarded with something small. You are not going to receive something ordinary. What God is about to do in your life will exceed every expectation. It will silence every doubt. It will erase every fear. It will heal every wound. It will restore everything you lost. It will elevate everything you are. And when it happens, you will know without a shadow of doubt that this was God. You may feel like you've been walking through a long valley, but valleys lead to mountains. You may feel like your season has been heavy, but heaviness precedes elevation. You may feel like your process has been painful, but pain precedes transformation. God is not allowing you to walk through difficult seasons to break you. He is allowing them to remake you. What is coming is greater than what was lost. What is ahead is better than what is behind. What God is preparing is bigger than anything you imagined. You have been stretching. You have been breaking. You have been enduring because God is preparing you for something immense. And He is saying, I'm still going to do it for you. Do not measure my power by your timeline. Do not measure my promise by your feelings. Do not measure my word by your circumstances. What I promised is already set in motion. Even if the world tells you to lower your expectations, God is telling you to raise them. Even if the world tells you to accept less, God is telling you to believe for more. Even if people tell you to be realistic, God is telling you to be faith-filled. God has never been limited by what is realistic. God moves in the supernatural, in the unseen, in the realm beyond logic. And when God moves in your life, it won't look like something you achieve through your own strength. It will look like something only God could do. There will be no confusion. There will be no doubt. It will be clear that God's hand brought it to pass, and there will come a moment so sudden, so precise, so divinely orchestrated that everything you've been waiting for will meet you at the exact point where God has prepared your heart to receive it. Not earlier, not later, but in the fullness of God's timing. That is why you cannot allow frustration to rewrite your faith. You cannot allow impatience to drown your confidence. You cannot allow weariness to make you misinterpret what God is doing behind the scenes. Because every time you feel like nothing is happening, something is unfolding. Every time you feel like heaven is silent, God is working with intentionality. Every time you feel overlooked, God is positioning you quietly for a moment of undeniable elevation. God hides you before He reveals you. God delays you before He promotes you. God stretches you before He blesses you. And none of these stages are wasted. Every step is a necessary preparation for the fullness of what God is still going to do for you. Some of you think you're being held back, but you're not being held back, you're being held in place. And there is a difference. Being held back implies resistance, restriction, sabotage. But being held in place implies protection, preparation, and divine timing. God is not withholding anything from you. God is preserving something for you. God is not saying no. God is saying not yet, because I'm preparing something bigger, something safer, something more powerful than you imagined. You see, sometimes God delays what you prayed for because the version of you that prayed the prayer is not yet the version of you that can sustain the answer. And God loves you too much to give you something prematurely. God does not release blessings that will become burdens. God does not open doors that will collapse under unprepared shoulders. God does not elevate you to environments where your character has not been shaped to endure. God always prepares the vessel before He pours out the blessing. And some of you are being prepared in secret. No one sees what you're enduring. No one sees the night you've cried. No one sees the sacrifices you've made. No one sees the battles you fought alone. But God saw it all. God saw the moments you stayed faithful when it would have been easier to quit. God saw you hold on to hope when everything around you said give up. God saw you choose integrity when compromise would have been more convenient. God saw you walk into the fire but refusing to lose your spirit. And because God saw it, God will honor it. God will reward it. God will respond to it. What you did quietly, God will elevate publicly. What you endured privately, God will transform into a public testimony. This is why God is saying, I'm still going to do it for you, not because of your perfection, but because of your persistence. Not because of your flawless faith, but because of your willingness to keep going even when your faith trembled. There are blessings that are too great to be rushed. There are breakthroughs too strategic to appear prematurely. There are divine connections too important to arrive casually. So when God takes His time, it is never hesitation, it is precision. Every moment of waiting becomes a thread in the fabric of your destiny. And once God weaves it all together, you will understand why the delays had purpose. You will understand why certain people were removed. You will understand why certain doors did not open. You will understand why certain opportunities fell apart. God was not rejecting you, He was redirecting you. God was not punishing you, He was protecting you. God was not ignoring you, He was integrating every detail of your life into a promise far larger than your expectations. When God moves, He does not simply give you what you ask for, He gives you what your destiny requires. And that is why God is saying, do not lose heart. I am still going to do it for you. Because He knows how close you are. He knows how much you've endured. He knows the spiritual weight you've been carrying. He knows the resilience you've developed. And He knows the exact moment when everything must shift. Do you realize that breakthroughs often happen at the point where most people give up? Not because the breakthrough is far away, but because the process becomes the most intense right before the release. Pressure increases before birth. Darkness deepens before dawn. Silence intensifies before sound breaks through. This is how God moves. When everything feels like it's tightening around you, that is often the sign that you are about to step into a moment of divine transformation that will redefine your entire life. Some of you think you've been walking alone, but God has been walking beside you, guiding you, whispering strength into your heart, turning your weaknesses into weapons, turning your tears into fuel, turning your setbacks into stepping stones. You did not survive this far on your own strength. Something carried you, something held you, something sustained you. That something was God's hand. God did not let you collapse. God did not let the enemy destroy you. God did not let your mind fall apart. God did not let life crush your spirit. If you survive battles that should have broken you, then surely God will complete the blessings prepared for you. Survival is proof of future fulfillment. If God kept you through the storm, it is because the promise on the other side of that storm is still active. And God wants you to know, nothing has weakened His promise. Nothing you faced has canceled His plan. Nothing the enemy tried has altered your destiny. You see, God's promises are not fragile. They do not expire. They do not depend on human approval. They do not dissolve in difficulty. God's promises withstand storms, endure delays, and outlive opposition. If God told you He would heal, restore, elevate, and transform your life, then it is already established. You cannot measure the certainty of God's promise by the uncertainty of your circumstances. Circumstances shift, but God does not. Feelings fluctuate, but God does not. People change, but God does not. Your life may feel unstable right now, but the one who holds your life is unshakably stable. And when God says, I'm still going to do it for you, it is not a suggestion, it is a decree. It is a spiritual guarantee. It is a divine announcement. It means heaven has already moved on your behalf. It means the outcome has already been written. It means the blessing is already in motion. It means the breakthrough is already forming. If you saw what God has prepared behind the scenes, your heart would explode with joy. If you knew how close you were to stepping into a new dimension of favor, you would not doubt another second. If you could see what God sees, you would understand why the fight has been so intense. Great battles surround great breakthroughs, and there will come a moment when you realize that nothing in your life was random, nothing wasted, nothing meaningless, nothing accidental. Every step, every season, every struggle, every delay was orchestrated with divine intention. God has been the author of your journey from the beginning, writing chapters you didn't understand, crafting scenes that felt confusing, allowing moments that stretched your faith, but all of it has been building toward a divine fulfillment that only God could design. God does not assemble your life the way humans assemble plans. Humans plan around logic, God plans around destiny. Humans plan around time, God plans around purpose. Humans plan around comfort, God plans around transformation. This is why what God has prepared for you is far greater than what you expected, because God plans with eternity in mind, not just a moment. You see, there are some seasons where God allows you to feel empty, not to punish you, but to create space for something greater. You cannot receive new wisdom if you cling to old patterns. You cannot step into new blessings if your hands are full of old disappointments. You cannot walk into a new season carrying the weight of a season that has already expired. So God empties you, not to break you, but to refill you. God removes what no longer serves your purpose. God strips away what was draining your strength. God disconnects you from what was limiting your growth. And while it may feel painful, it is never harmful. God's pruning is always purposeful. God never removes without replacing. God never takes without restoring. God never allows loss without planning greater gain. So if you have felt stripped, emptied, or broken, it is only because God is preparing you to receive something that requires more room in your spirit than you currently have. And this is why God is saying, I'm still going to do it for you. Because what you thought you lost, God is going to replace with something more powerful. What you thought slipped away, God is going to resurrect in a better form. What you thought was over, God is going to rewrite with glory. When God restores, He does not bring you back to where you were. He elevates you beyond where you've ever been. God does not just return what was taken, He multiplies what was taken. God does not just fix what was broken, He transforms it into something stronger. God does not just heal your wounds, He turns them into wisdom. God does not just lift you up, He teaches you how to walk in authority. Every restoration God brings is greater than the original, because God specializes in taking what was meant to destroy you and using it to redefine you. And there are blessings that require maturity, not because you are unworthy, but because the weight is great. God is not preparing small opportunities for you. God is preparing opportunities that will require emotional strength, spiritual depth, mental clarity, and unwavering faith. And so the challenges you face were not designed to weaken you, they were designed to sharpen you. Trials have been developing your endurance. Disappointments have been purifying your motives. Loneliness has been strengthening your confidence. Delays have been stretching your patience. Unknown seasons have been shaping your trust. You are not who you used to be. You have grown. You have changed. You have been transformed. And God will never release a powerful blessing into the hands of an unprepared vessel. You are being molded, shaped, and refined because what God is about to do in your life carries a spiritual weight that requires a fortified spirit. There are doors God is preparing to open for you that do not simply demand talent. They demand character. There are platforms God will give you that do not simply require skills. They require humility. There are blessings coming your way that do not simply require desire. They require discipline. God is shaping you for what He is sending. God is preparing you for what He promised. God is ushering you into a level of destiny that will make sense of everything you went through. You may not have understood the pain, but you will understand the purpose. You may not have understood the delay, but you will understand the timing. You may not have understood the separation, but you will understand the protection. What confused you in one season will become clear in the next. God is always several steps ahead, building a future you can't yet see, but will one day step into with awe. And God wants you to know the reason you survived what others collapsed under is because your story carries a different assignment. You were not designed to break. You were designed to rise. You were not created to be crushed. You were created to be strengthened. You were not placed on this earth to live afraid. You were placed to walk with spiritual authority, and every battle you've endured has been equipping you for the level God is taking you to. The weight of your struggles is a sign of the height of your calling. The intensity of your battles is a sign of the magnitude of your destiny. Great battles surround great breakthroughs. And if the enemy fought you hard, it is because God's promise over your life is too powerful to ignore. Darkness does not attack the ordinary, it attacks the chosen. And you have been chosen for something extraordinary. This is why God has not withdrawn His promise. This is why God has not canceled His plan. This is why every time you came close to giving up, something inside you refused to break. Because God Himself placed endurance in your spirit. God whispers strength into your weakness. God breathed resilience into your soul. God sustained you when everything around you fell apart. You are not standing here by coincidence. You are standing because God held you together. When life tried to take your hope, God guarded it. When people tried to wound your spirit, God restored it. When circumstances tried to shake your identity, God anchored it. You have been carried by a power greater than anything that stood against you, and now God is speaking with clarity. I am still going to do it for you. Not just because it is promised, but because it is time. Time for doors to open, time for favor to flow, time for restoration to manifest, time for healing to rise, time for breakthroughs to unfold, time for old cycles to break, time for new chapters to begin, time for the prayers you whispered through tears to be answered with divine precision. Nothing can stop what God has released. Nothing can slow what God has accelerated. Nothing can weaken what God has strengthened. Your season of waiting is turning into a season of receiving. You will witness the faithfulness of God in ways you never imagined. You will see God turn impossibilities into testimonies. You will watch God open paths where there were none. You will experience breakthroughs that make you fall to your knees in awe. Because when God acts, He acts in fullness. When God restores, He restores completely. When God elevates, He elevates beyond expectation. When God answers, He answers in ways that silence every doubt. The blessing coming your way will not be partial. It will be complete. It will not be temporary. It will be lasting. It will not be ordinary. It will be divine. And now, as this message settles into your spirit, let it awaken a deeper knowing. A quiet, unshakable certainty that God has not forgotten you, not for a moment, not for a second, not in any season of your life. Every tear you shed has been collected. Every prayer you whispered has been heard. Every hope you fought to keep alive has been seen. God has been watching over you with a wisdom far greater than your understanding and a compassion far deeper than your pain. And at this very moment, God is aligning circumstances, opening pathways, and preparing results that will confirm what your heart has been trying to believe, that God's promise still stands. There will be a moment when everything becomes clear, when every struggle falls into purpose, when every delay reveals its meaning, when every disappointment proves to have been divine protection. You will see why God didn't let certain people stay. You will understand why certain opportunities slipped through your fingers. You will recognize why doors closed that you desperately wanted to enter. It was never rejection, it was redirection. It was never abandonment, it was preparation. It was never failure, it was formation. God has been shaping you into someone capable of carrying the very blessing you were praying for. So walk forward with courage. Walk forward with expectation. Walk forward with a spirit that refuses to settle for fear, doubt, or discouragement. God is not asking you to figure everything out. God is simply asking you to trust. Trust that what He started, He will finish. Trust that what He promised, He will fulfill. Trust that what has been delayed is not denied. Trust that what feels quiet is only being perfected behind the scenes. Trust that what God has spoken over your life is stronger than any obstacle standing before you. Because God is saying, I am still going to do it for you. Not because of your perfection, but because of His promise. Not because of your strength, but because of His plan. Not because of your certainty, but because of His unchanging nature. And when God decides to move, no force can stop Him. Not fear, not failure, not the enemy, not circumstances, not time. Divine timing cannot be rushed, and divine promises cannot be broken. So lift your head, strengthen your heart, hold your faith with both hands. You are stepping into a season where God will show you why you had to endure, why you had to wait, why you had to trust even when trusting felt impossible. And when it finally unfolds, when the blessing arrives, when the healing manifests, when the breakthrough appears, you will know that it was God who carried you, God who sustained you, God who prepared you, and God who fulfilled every word spoken over your life. Your story is not ending in delay, defeat, or disappointment. Your story is unfolding with divine accuracy, and the one who promised is faithful. God is still going to do it for you. In those final quiet moments of reflection, let your heart absorb this truth. When God decides to fulfill something in your life, no power in the heavens or the earth can stand in His way. You may feel exhausted. You may feel delayed. You may feel like the promise is slipping out of your hands. But God has not withdrawn His word. God has not changed His mind. God has not altered His plan. What He declared over your life still carries divine weight, and nothing has the authority to erase what God has written with His own hand. So lift your head. You are not walking toward the promise alone. You are walking with the one who created the very path beneath your feet. You are not waiting in vain. You are waiting with God's intention wrapped around your destiny. You are not fighting for your future. You are standing with the God who has already secured it. And when the moment comes, when His timing aligns with your season, you will see how perfect, how intentional, how breathtaking His deliverance is. Hold on a little longer. Believe a little deeper. Trust a little stronger. Because God is not finished with you, not even close. God is preparing a moment that will silence your doubts, stun your enemies, heal your wounds, and lift your spirit to heights you never imagined. You will look back and say, now I understand why the wait was necessary. Now I see why the delay was divine. Now I know God was working the entire time. And when it happens, it will not just bless you, it will transform you. It will strengthen your faith, deepen your gratitude, and open your eyes to a side of God that you could only discover through waiting. So stand firm, stay expectant, hold your peace, because God is whispering to your spirit even now, I am still going to do it for you.